bit more shiny.
Yeah.
These, like, I don't know if you can tell how matte that is. I just don't like the matte look of it. So I haven't sent any of these out to anybody, but I probably should. But yeah, I don't have shirts or hats or any of that stuff.
Yeah, we just started with the shirts. We got them like Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
And before that, we had just shirts for like the two of us made.
Sure.
So yeah,
How are you guys doing your merch? Is it like through like one of those drop shipping services, or did you guys like pay to get, you know, shirts printed and then you're gonna ship them yourselves? Or
with
Blue Tongue Ink did it
Yeah.
For us. I don't know how the whole working with a company and having them ship it for you, especially with it being like our first time getting shirts and you know, doing things. So I'm kind of just trying. We're going to see how it works with us shipping first. So hopefully it goes
sure
the way I'd like it to.
Yeah, I mean the finances are better doing it that way for sure.
Yeah.
And I like it because you have more hands-on control over just the quality control.
Yeah.
You can see it before it goes out, and you know that you know the print is right, and you know the shirt itself doesn't have any kind of problems or whatever. So yeah, no, I get that. That makes sense. And that's what I was debating between, because I'm like, you know, the out-of-pocket cost to order a bunch of shirts, you know, and companies have minimums and things like that.
Yeah.
You never know what sizes people are going to need and things. So it's yeah, it's a tough call between the two.
Yeah. It is. And then like, but even when we like ordered our own, still trying to figure out how many 2X's do you get, how many larges do you get, how many mediums do you get, should you order any smalls? Not very, you know, it's all, and then of course you're going to run into people where they're like, oh man, let me get a shirt. And then, oh man, I don't have any more of that size. And then, well, do I just order
that
and
one,
spend more money and have 50 of larges, and then because one person needs an 2X or something, or do I wait and then order more at one time? It's always tough, but it's so nice to be able to send them out myself.
Yeah.
That's the way that I think I would like to ideally do it, at least initially, you know, until it becomes just you know, too much of a burden to manage all the inventory and shipping stuff out and all that. So we'll see. But yeah, so I'll work on that.
So from what I've seen, I've watched over a bunch of your videos.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah. How long have you been into? I know you're into ball pythons, but I also know you're into super dwarfs. Yeah. So
I tell people it's funny. The first snake that I actually bought when I got back into keeping reptiles, I had a bearded dragon first, because I debated on breeding those. I bought a male. I mean, it wasn't like a direct plan, but then I quickly changed my mind on that. But anyways, the retics, that was actually what I bought first. And I, you know, because I stumbled across Garrett Hartle, obviously on YouTube, everybody knows, you know, king of dwarf and super dwarves, and, you know, really kind of the guy that created that market. And I just really liked him. You know, I love the ball pythons, but the girl I was dating at the time, she had some snakes that she had bought. And I just, you know, I just wasn't sure, you know, but I really loved the retics because I've always wanted one. And, you know, but it was like that animal where I'm like, oh, I'd love to have one, but I'll never be able to do it, you know, because I don't have the space. And, you know, I understand, like, it's just not a reasonable thing for most people to own, you know, an 18, 20-foot snake. So started talking to Garrett, you know, and you know, obviously I watched probably every video he had at the time, which this was about 3.5 years ago. And yeah, so he, you know, got with him and we were just talking about trying to find like the right project, you know, because I just wanted something different that not everybody was working with. And that's how I ended up with the Solayer pair. So for those that don't know, I have the world's only pair, or I had, and I'll get into that. The world's only pair of 50% Solayer dwarf tigers, and were 100% F for Rennet Ghost. So I have the ability to make the world's first ever Rennet Ghost albinos in dwarves. Wow. Unfortunately, I did lose that male. The last video that I put out, for anybody that's watching this afterwards, you know, on my channel, and I haven't done a follow-up on it since, was talking about how he was sick, and I didn't know what caused it, and I didn't know what was going on. And I don't know if I've talked to you guys about what ended up happening with that, but basically, he ended up having cancer. He had terrible cancer all over. They're pretty sure it was lymphoma. We didn't do the testing and all that, but we found out he had cancer through a necropsy. His condition was just worsening. He wasn't responding to antibiotics at all. The vet just couldn't figure it out, and he was just getting worse and worse. And so finally, we made the decision to go ahead and put him down. She did a necropsy, and when she called me, first thing she said was, "Zach, you made the right decision." Because I talked to her at her office, for probably 30 minutes. Before really finally deciding to go through with it, just about I'm like, because he looks better today. He looks a little bit better today.
And of course,
and so I'm like,
that caliber, you're like,
yeah, well, exactly. I mean, he's literally irreplaceable. Yeah, there's not another one out there. I cannot get another one. There is one other male. That's the thing that's so crazy about even having them. There was only 3 babies that survived from their clutch originally.
Oh my God.
One female, and that's it. So thankfully, she's fine. And then there was 2 males. One was a tiger, which was the one that I had. And then there is another male out there. Garrett reached out to the guy that owns that male, because obviously we still know where it's at. And that guy didn't have any interest in selling it. So I could buy a replacement. Not that, it's the same. Because it's a normal retic, not a tiger. And so it would have still, been nice to have gotten him, but the guy just has no interest in selling him. He's breeding it into a bunch of mainland stuff and this, that, and the other, and I have no interest in doing any kind of breeding loan with the female, sending her out to him or anything like that. So unfortunately,
something like that.
Unfortunately, we had to change gears on the project a little bit, but it's going to work out. It's going to work out fine. Actually, I'm going to breed it to. I can pull him out. Garrett. So last time when I went to visit his facility, Garrett surprised me by sending me home with this guy, and he's deep in shed.
Oh.
But he is a pure Tom belonging locality.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you can see how yellow that head is.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, so
he's
he's beautiful, and you can tell obviously his temperament is amazing. I just reached right into his tub and pulled him right out, and he was in the shed.
I know with
great.
some retics, you got to be real careful with that. They're a little.
They can be short.
House.
Yeah, most people talk about hook training and stuff like that, which my female is anytime I go to take her out, most of the time anyways, I'll use a hook just to kind of let her know that what's going on. But even with her, I mean, most days I can just reach right in and kind of touch her and judge her response.
Right.
So no, they're great animals. But yeah, that male Tom belongs to Garrett, and so he and I are going to work a breeding loan. With him actually being bred to that female next year. So it stinks because all the babies will just be posets, and so I'll have to hold all the females back. So this room is quickly going to be outgrown, I think, within the next year or two. Just with that one project, because I'm going to have a ton of stuff to raise up.
But it'll be a cool project, You'll
it's
say that you've got something that nobody else has, or is in the process of making stuff that nobody has.
Yeah. And they'll be smaller too, because the Tom belonging locality, it's a it's a smaller locality of retic than what the Solayers are. They're very similar and closely related. Tom belonging is this tiny little island that's literally right off the coast of Solayer Island, and so Tom belongings literally are like little mini Solayer dwarfs. And in the UK, they actually consider them to be super dwarfs. Just the marketing jargon or whatever, but they do stay quite a bit smaller than a Solayer. So I think ultimately it'll better the project long term. You saw how yellow his head was, so that yellow influence. These babies are just going to be insane when they come out. I know that they will be. Just from that locality influence between the Solayer and the Tom belonging, I think they're going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, we're not too into the dwarfs and super dwarfs and stuff, and in like the localities. I just know the localities can change their size because of the type and size of food, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of one of the theories. Sure, that long ago, a mainland, got swept out into in the ocean and landed on these islands, and then just through just food scarcity and things like that, there wasn't enough food to support them growing huge, and so they kind of just adapted, and the smaller ones did better. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. That does make sense to me, I think, logically. But yeah, they're just neat, man. Super neat.
And now, as I know a lot of people don't talk like money and stuff, but as a price value, are the dwarfs, are they still just the same, or are they more expensive if you were to get a dwarf versus a regular retic?
versus a mainland. Yeah. So, you know, it is kind of a scale where, obviously depending on morphs and things like that, but, yeah, I mean, as you go down in size on the retics, the money goes up for sure. You know, if you want to, and I can't quote Garrett's pricing because that's not my place to put numbers on his animals, but I, you know, just to give people a rough idea, like the smallest locality of super dwarves is Karrampa, and those are very expensive. They're like 10 grand.
And they're the most.
Yeah, and that's what I was just gonna say, because it's not just that they're the smallest locality; it's also that they've literally only ever been produced one time, and it was by Garrett. You know, and there's not very many of them left, and so.
And didn't he have an issue with that clutch, or?
Yeah, he had an incubation problem that his thermostat his thermostat failed, or he wasn't running a thermostat for some reason at the time, or well, I think the thermostat failed is what it was, and it was a double whammy because not only did the thermostat fail, the heater that he uses, because he does the cooler incubation, you know, where we use aquarium heaters to actually heat the water and then thus heat your incubation. But his heater had actually failed, so. I have my own theory as to kind of maybe what caused that. I think probably what it was is that the heater had been bad for a long time, and unfortunately, a lot of times, you know, these heaters, you know, aquarium heaters, people that keep fish will kind of know this. Sometimes they will fail in the on position, and I have a feeling that his heater had probably failed before, and when but his thermostat was still regulating it, you know, because the thermostat was still turning it on and off, so it didn't matter that it was stuck in the on position,
right?
Because the thermostat was still holding it at bay. And I think when his thermostat died, it just immediately just killed everything. It was awful.
It just shot the temperature up, and
yeah, that's awful.
You know, a lot of people end up having that issue with thermostats or heaters, you know, breaking. I mean, we had that same issue with a heater. The heater ended up breaking. Luckily, we caught it in time, and they still had, you know, we still have belly heat and stuff, but it got cold. But then you run into another issue like we had where the heater got turned on by my son, who's a baby, which I can't really yell at him for because he doesn't know.
No.
But he turned it on, but turned it on high. So then within 10 minutes, the room was at 100 degrees.
Holy cow.
And luckily, only one snake died, luckily.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
It was horrible. I mean, it could have been way worse. We could have lost the whole collection.
Yeah.
Which isn't much, but
it was awful.
It's ours.
That was
well, I mean, you know, they're lives that you guys, you know, take care of, and you've invested time and money and everything else into, and so I mean, I don't care if you've only got one snake, you know, if an equipment failure kills that animal, it sucks, because, you know, we feel responsible at the end of the day, you know. That's what was so rough about, you know, that male getting sick. And I'm sure there were people, when they saw that video, they were thinking that I had done something wrong. You know, that he must have fucked something up, or he must not have been taking care of him well, and all that. And so, you know, when I found out that he did have cancer, it sucked, of course, but it was also, I felt a lot better, because I'm like, okay, it really wasn't anything I did wrong, because the only thing I could think of was I had been misting him because he was in shed, and I thought maybe I had just gotten his bedding too wet, you know. And so I'm like, fuck, you know, if I cause this infection by over dampening his bedding, like and that's what I was convinced that that's what happened.
Right.
But what really happened, obviously, was that he had cancer, which caused his immune system to be suppressed. Which, you know, because they have bacteria in their blood all the time. They're surrounded by it. Even we're the same way. You know, if our immune system drops off, we suddenly lose the ability to fight off simple things that normally would never even affect us.
Yep.
Right.
So that's what caused him to spiral and get all that infection, and yeah. So
I saw the video where you were injecting him with his antibiotics and stuff. That's got to be tough to do too.
It was, man. It was really emotional, and that's a lot of why I haven't posted a video on YouTube after that, because it was just the day that I put him down. Before, I came home and tried to film like a follow up for it. And I just couldn't do it, because it's like I wasn't crying or anything like that. It was just I just felt numb. I just felt like I just didn't know how to like move forward after that.
Yeah.
And so it was a really, really emotional thing. But these things happen. And that's just the facts of life, man.
Yeah, it does suck.
That's the not so good part that people don't really like to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I had people tell me not to post that video, even like, hey man, I don't think you should post that. People are going to judge, and think that you've got 6 snakes, and you're so early on in the hobby, like it could really kill your reputation and this, that, and the other. And I appreciate those people that suggested that, because they were trying to look out for my best interests, obviously. But again, I when I started my channel, the very first video, I said, I'm just documenting my journey.
Yeah.
I'm not some big breeder. My goal is not necessarily to be, a Kabilka or something like that. But I want all of my stuff to be documented, just for people that are just like me, that are just starting out, that just want somebody that they can relate more to. Because not everybody can relate to a guy like a Miguel or a Kabilka or whatever. Because it's like the stuff, the information they're talking about and the stuff they're putting out, it's like, that's not even something I'm ever gonna have, so it's just it's not as relevant. So,
and that's like,
I didn't want to hide anything.
Right. That's like with us in our collection. I mean, like, we have our YouTube channel. I mean, it's doing okay. I mean, I wish it could do better, but like, we're not giving up. And that's like what we talk a lot about on our channel sometimes, is you don't give up, you keep going. And like, we've got videos showing people how to set up a glass tank for a ball python.
Yeah, and I love that kind of content, man, because that's the stuff that matters to 90% of the people that are just coming in. That's the stuff they need to know,
because they'll only usually just have one.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And they'll need to know the proper way, because a lot of times people at pet stores don't know how.
No.
The correct.
Well, and they're trained. They're kind of trained not to,
right?
Because they're trained to sell their stuff and their product and do it their way. And we could have a whole entire conversation about that. I had a friend that was asked to leave a Petco the other day because he was talking to customers. Like, he was just anybody that was hanging around the reptile aisle. He's like, hey, just because he just loves these animals, and he was just just figured like, hey, I'll just go hang out in Petco for a little while and just talk to people that are into the same stuff. And he was talking to them about his channel and kind of doing a little bit of self promotion. And they literally asked him to leave because they're like, we don't like you talking to our customers.
Really, that's crazy.
Because they didn't want him to tell them like, hey, that's the way they're telling you to keep these things is not the way to do it. Or hey, maybe don't buy your rats from here. Maybe like get frozen thawed. Because I know there's people that I know that have been keeping snakes for a long time and don't even know anything about like frozen thawed. Like, I've got friends that they're like, I used to have a ball python. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Really?
And they just always paid, the like $10 for a rat or whatever it is that Petco charges, because they're just like, well, yeah, that's just what you do.
That's crazy.
Like, that's what so it's just weird stuff like that's just interesting. So no, it's important to put that information out.
It is. And like, we have videos about how to use a plastic Home Depot rack and how to put your heat tape on it. Like, it's all, how somebody like your just everyday person can start from scratch and build their way up.
Absolutely.
And, we just now purchased, 2 racks, kind of on the PVC side, but they got tubs, sea serpent racks.
Sea serpents are great, man. I'm a big fan of their product. Their stuff seems like it's got really high quality, and it's Chris, right? That is the owner, I think.
Chris Nettles.
I've never heard anything bad about the guy. So yeah.
And he was real polite. I talked to him through email and on the phone. I was like, look, man, I'm new. This is what I'm looking for. Yeah. What can you recommend? Like, I have space for my adults at the moment, but I have a lot of grow ups, but I know I have 1 clutch this year. What would you recommend? And then he was like, dude, just get the 16 tub V18 rack. Yeah. And so then what I did was got the FB5 Freedom Breeder tubs to put 3 on 1 row. Yeah. So that way, when the clutch that we have, I can put those in those, and some. Of
just like kind of like what I've got right there. These are pretty much. Those are the Vivarium Electronics racks, which I'm a big fan of. I love them. And they're located here in North Carolina, so shipping for me, it's always really cheap, and they get to me pretty quick, so it's nice just from that standpoint.
Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, that's what I started out with, was one of those, and obviously now I've got 2. I'm probably gonna have to order, I don't know, probably 2 more of those within the next, within this year, I would say. Just with babies and stuff that I've got coming.
Are you still breeding ball pythons though? Like,
yeah. I've got a. No. I mean, ball pythons, are kind of my secondary thing. I don't know if you guys can see. I've got that girl right there. She should be ready to go. She ovulated for me not that long ago, so she'll probably be going into her pre-lay shed within a couple weeks. But that is like the female. Like that's the project for me. So that was at the time was the most expensive snake I had bought from Justin Kabilka. She is a fire yellow belly spot nose, 100% het for ultramel.
Oh wow!
I love the ultramel stuff. Anybody that knows me, Brian Cusco, shout out to Brian Cusco. The running joke he started was calling me Master Ultramel because all I ever do is like when we have the Zoom calls, I always ask all our guests like, what are their thoughts on it? If you were working the project, like what direction would you take it? Things like that. And he started making fun of me about it because he's like, man, he's like, are you doing this as a joke or is this for real? I'm like, dude, I genuinely like to talk about it and get other people's opinions. I kind of use it for market research.
Yeah, I mean, we're so new. I'm still trying to learn what genes do what works good together, what doesn't. And because we do it together, we're husband and wife and stuff. So we want to work, I want to do things that brings her interest into the snakes too. And she really loves the pies. So that's our first project we're working with. But the thing that nobody told us when we first got into it, because we didn't really know anybody, was not only breed what you like, but come up with a project. Get your project
and
going.
Like focus on it.
Focus on that.
It's hard. Yeah. And I screwed that up myself. I've got females in this rack that not to say I started out without a direction, but just the direction that I started out in is not the direction I ended up going. So I still do. I watch a lot of Gavin's videos. I love Gavin. Great freaking guy. Puts out a ton of really great content. Balls to you. He, his whole thought and the way that he recommends people start out is make your own hets. Say with Ultramel, for example, find the best visual male Ultramel you can find, that you just love, and then start with that. Get then get a yellow belly and this and make your own hets and then build that project from there. And I still think that that's a really great way to start out, especially for people that don't want to jump into spending thousands and thousands of dollars. But I also exactly. But the way that I think I would have done it different now is that I probably would have saved my money, which is what I did. That female that's getting ready to go for me, I think at the time she was like $1,000, which was like insane, because when I bought the pair of those Slayers, that was the most money I'd spent on anything in a long time, for those two animals. They were $2,500 for the pair, which the reality is that's nothing to pay for me to own the entire project. To think about that, is it's crazy. And I think Garrett still kicked himself today, for letting him go at all. But no, I think if I had to do it different in hindsight, I probably would have started out with less animals, and just spent more money on less animals. Maybe bought 3 females that were, say $1,000 a piece. And it might have taken me a year to buy all 3 of those, at $1,000 a piece. But I think that's probably the way that I would have done it. And that's just from a financial gain standpoint. Oh, yeah. I think it makes the most sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
You like us, we have 15 snakes and only 5 of them are within the pie project part of it.
Yeah.
The rest of them are just a bunch of codoms and incomplete dominant stuff that we liked. That that's cool when we first started buying snakes, and they were within our price range that we could afford. Yeah. But now, saying it, if you're thinking about it, if you just instead of buying 15 and you buy 7 or 5 and you put all the money that you spent on the stuff that you really didn't really need and just bought into that little project, you would have, in the end, you'd end up with more.
Yeah, because it's the thought is so say that those top 3, let's say that cost me $200, $200. Well, for $600, I could have bought a 2-gene het Ultramel female.
Right.
And that would have saved me 3 years of time and feeding them rats and everything else. And I'm only feeding 1 snake. Right. So it's
exactly.
It depends on what you're getting into it for, why you're getting into it, what your plan is, and things like that. There's nothing, again, I don't want anybody to take this as me shitting on, people that have because the flip side of that is that's the stuff that sells at shows really well too. So if you've got the time and you live somewhere where there's a lot of shows that are close to you, like that makes all the sense in the world to have, you know, some codom stuff, you know, and then like breed it to a nice banana male and make a ton of banana stuff that's got a couple other genes mixed in with it, and you'll sell those at shows all day long. You won't be able to keep them in stock.
Right.
And so,
like,
yeah,
that's kind of like why I'm glad we have what we have now, because I'm
Mhm.
like, oh,
Exactly.
well, not very many people know about disco when we have a pastel disco male, and
Yeah.
we bred him to our orange dream female, but she ended up reabsorbing, which sucks, but it's all right.
Yeah, I had that happen too.
But like, what we can make that, and then we have a GHI Pastavi, and we can make some cool stuff, and with like we have a Calico Fire we can put to the GHI Pastavi and make some cool stuff there, and you know.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of like random stuff, but like, I mean,
it's all good. I mean, Calico's
make something
great.
cool.
Yeah.
I think Calico's still super underrated.
Sal,
speaking of the devil, Sal's in here. I was just talking to Sal about that, you know, on his stream. We were talking about Calico a lot, just how beautiful they are for a single gene animal. I mean, they're people that know nothing about ball pythons, which at the end of the day, like those are almost the people that you want to be impressed.
Oh, yeah.
Breeders are not going to be impressed with a single gene Calico female.
No. Right.
But people that want to keep one as a pet, I think it's an amazing animal.
I mean, the male that we had that's Calico and Fire, I mean, like, you don't see much that looks like that.
Mm-mm.
I mean, he is freaking beautiful. You want to go grab him, or you want me to grab him?
No,
I can grab him because I need my drink.
I can grab him.
All right.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I've got this little pastel Calico girl. Like,
yeah,
that's so crazy looking to me.
Yep.
You know, she's just gorgeous. I love this snake. Absolutely love this snake. The second I saw her, I knew that I had to buy her, and she's doing the typical ball python thing right now. But
turning into a ball.
Yeah, she's an awesome animal, man.
Yeah, and then like I wish, and like we got a normal that was given to us, and like, man, there ain't nothing wrong with having normals. Normals are okay for when you're trying to prove stuff out and trying to break down a snake that you don't know what's in it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody should have at least one in their racks. Because like you said, you just never know when you're going to need to prove something out, or just, you know, whatever the case is.
Yeah, and like, because that's the one that's getting ready to go within the next couple days. Like, she's supposed to lay by the 10th, which is really exciting. I'm nervous as all get out. Like, it's our first clutch ever, and like it'll probably be our only one this year. But yeah, that's great though, man. It's nice because you know nobody wants to jump in. Well, you would think that you would want to jump in and have 5 clutches your first year. But man, I was so stressed with just having the one clutch, and you know, trying to get babies feeding on frozen thawed and all of that. You know, I mean, it's work, man. It's definitely work. And but yeah, so I even just one clutch, that'll be great. Yeah, love it. Yeah, got those nice highlights, and that's all. I love the Calico. I love the Calico stuff. Yeah, big fan. But yeah, definitely. Like, we have only three breeder females at the moment, and a bunch of females that we grow up. But I was like, yeah, I'd like to, you know, have 3 clutches and blah blah blah. But now I'm like, how nervous I am waiting for just this one. I'm like, yeah, one's fine this year. I'll be okay with one. Yeah, for sure. You know, my first clutch I thought I was gonna get was Mojave. You know, I've got a visual Mojave Ultramel that actually is a retired breeder from Cabilco, which is awesome to have. He's an amazing animal, and I was excited that Justin, you know, sold him to me. Because I was pestering Justin about Ultramel stuff for months, and I would, you know, I texted him like, hey man, do you have anything available? Like, if you got a decent male that I can buy. And so he finally you know, released that one out. But anyways, he was bred to I have a pastel leopard het Ultramel female. And so I thought that was gonna be my first clutch, and honestly, I'm almost glad that it didn't work out, because I think I would have probably had some losing some hair over you know, incubating a clutch that's that, you know, important to me, you know, the first time around. So it's nice that the first clutch I ended up getting was just, you know, a het clutch. You know, it was that same male, that Mojave Ultramel bred to a trick, and that was, you know, it was a lot less stressful, because I'm like, okay, there's not like multiple thousands of dollars worth of eggs in there or anything like that. You know, you're talking about, you know, just, you know, a couple $100 a pop or whatever, whatever it was. I'd have a heart attack if that was me. Like, my first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna feel when that girl goes, because, you know, I mean, you're talking, I could hit fire yellow belly spot nose Mojave Ultramels, you know, like and
Right.
and just everything in between. I think when you punch it in a morph calculator, it's like there's like 64 different combinations that I could hit. So
Whoa.
there's no
wild.
talent. Yeah, it's crazy, and I think it's going to be pretty overwhelming to try to identify babies. But I'm hoping Justin will help me out.
And like this one ain't no better. It's a Puma, possible vanilla bred to a normal. So I'll get a bunch of normal looking stuff.
Yeah.
Could have vanilla in it, or it could just be Spark or Yellow Belly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're not really going to be 100% on it. Yeah, but that's all right, man. I think that's a great first clutch. So.
Oh yeah. And then we just did for our pie project. We just bought or starting to finish paying for a OD pied male.
Nice.
And then visual.
It's our first visual one, so
yeah,
really
that's so super exciting. Yeah, because that's the thing is like it is very underwhelming buying hets a lot of times. Like it's a lot easier on your wallet, but it's like it's just like But that girl is gorgeous. I mean, she's been beautiful from the time she was a baby. I mean, obviously she comes from really great stock, and so she's gorgeous. But it's like, man, I just really can't wait to see what this looks like with Ultramelon. It's super exciting.
Hopefully next season or even later this season, once he gets up to size, the OD pied, I'll put him to the OD female, so I can make super OD het pies, and that'll
get the ball rolling.
Yeah, for sure. That's an exciting thought, because it's like that only just hit me recently. The fact that girl, when I get those babies, I'm like actually hoping for males, because I'm like, this male out of this clutch, like there could be a male in there that's going to end up being my breeder for next year or the year after, depending on what happens. And like when that was the first time that really kind of sunk in, that's where I'm at, that like I'm almost at the point where stuff that I'm going to produce is actually stuff that I'm going to use for breeding. Because I only got one male out of that trick, that Mojave trick pairing. And I actually traded him to a friend for a double het ultra clown female.
Cool.
So I didn't keep any males back out of that, and obviously they were just hets. So I really would prefer to have a visual ultramel male, to put to things. It's just easier for me based on the females that I have. But yeah, that's super exciting.
Right, and that's why I went the male route for the visual, just because it's a little bit cheaper, and then I can still make hets with it with a female. Exactly. So you're winning no matter what you do. Yeah, this is my first. I just picked this up not that long ago. It's a visual clown, pastel clown. Ooh. And he is 100% het for Ultramel. Oh, cool. So Ultramel and clown. Yeah, Marshall Mendez has a ton of visual ultra clown stuff that he's doing. In my mind, he's kind of like the one that's really championing that project. Where is she at? So that's gonna be really cool. But I've got this female that he's gonna go to when she gets big enough. This is a Mojave leopard krypton. So double het cryptic clown. Mm-hmm. And then also het for Ultramel. So she's actually a triple het. Triple het. Jeez. Yeah. So, she's gorgeous. She's absolutely gorgeous. I love this animal. The breeder's name escapes me right now, which I feel terrible about. He's out of Georgia. I'm really bad with names, but yeah, he was holding her back, and then he ended up just deciding to let her go, and he kept one of her siblings instead. But yeah, this is a really
dark on the yellow, like with the yellow on the dark. I think.
Yeah, I mean the contrast that is the contrast that is in this animal is just crazy, and like this, you can see just the crazy striping.
Yeah, that's so pretty.
Head pattern. So I really like the Krypton stuff. I think that a lot of people are really sleeping on it. So because the cool thing about this pairing when it happens with Kryptons, everything in that clutch will be a visual. So even though she's only het for clown and het for cryptic, because of the fact that it's allelic, all of the babies are either going to be clown or there'll be more Kryptons. So you can't miss. I was trying to talk to Brian about when it's cryptic and het clown. They're both allelic, so when you breed them to something else that's het or something, you'll get visuals of one or the other. Yeah. Yeah, because there's literally zero way for them to not be visuals. And so I'm like, that doesn't, it's very, very cool. I obviously, because the thing about the genetics that sucks is it's such a roll of the dice. You just don't know. So anytime that I can get an advantage on the math of like what I'm going to get, like you have to take it. That's just like, people are using bananas now. People will buy male maker bananas specifically use those because they know that all of the babies that are not banana are going to be female.
Right. Yep.
So it's like, if you want females, so then you're just fingers crossed that you don't get any bananas. You're like, please don't get any bananas in this clutch.
Right.
Because then you know that everything in that clutch is going to be female.
Right.
So it's just, there's little tricks like that a lot of people don't talk about that much.
Crazy.
But yeah, just stuff like that I think is really, really neat. Anytime you can fix the odds in your favor, you got to do it. So,
but it's always cool. Like that's why I like breeding, because you never really know what's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
No,
that's why I mean it from like, I'm not trying to get rich off of it. I'm just if I make a little bit of extra money, cool. But I like
the whole idea is to have it pay for itself, and then if you get a little, the reality is anything I get, I'm just putting back into more pythons, so it's just building a snowball over here. I think we all kind of.
That's like we were talking about the t-shirts earlier. If we sell t-shirts, any money that we get off of it just goes right back into ordering more t-shirts.
Yeah, or buying rats or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like today we sold we had a rack that was like way too big for, like, we didn't think it was going to be too big, but we didn't ask for measurements, which was like a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
But we went and picked it up. We went like 2 hours. So we were like, whatever, we're going to take it and we'll like try it out. But we sold that today to somebody that can actually use it for what they need.
Was this a snake rack or?
Yeah.
It's a snake rack.
So we'll take that money and put it towards something too.
Yep.
Sure.
But it was just way, like, the females, when we put them in there, they were like not having it. They stopped eating.
It was like really deep. Like were
they like FB70 tubs?
Pretty much, but they were like, it was something you would see like colubrids in.
Okay.
Like a rat snake or a king snake or something, big adult females in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I let them know, like, I was honest with the people. I was like, look, they didn't work for our ball pythons. I know you said you got ball pythons. Just make sure you have like 3 or 4 hides in there. At least 3 of them or 2 at least, so that way they're
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I've had some snakes that even in FB70s, they weren't real happy about it. That's my only complaint, I think, with this Vivarium Electronics rack is the tubs are a decent, like they're a good size, but they are a little bit too shallow, I think, because I do have some girls, like, when I'm feeding them, they have a hard time. Like I have to leave the tub open, with them on the rack because they're balled up so big that I literally can't close the tub. And then I'm like, is that really comfortable for them? I sometimes kind of worry that, I know they like the enclosed space and everybody eats well in that rack. So it's it's tough to say.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to have something with like the FB40s in it. And I may ultimately end up like building myself something out of melamine or something like that. Because I haven't found anybody that sells a rack. And maybe I should talk to Chris at Sea Serpents. Maybe he can tell me that he's got something that will work with FB40 tubs. Because that's what I'd really like to have a ton of.
And I know
without having to spend that kind of money on like an ARS rack or something like that.
Yeah. And I think Billy the other day was showing some new tubs that Freedom Breeder made.
Yeah, I think they're like FB20s. Yeah, they're like FB20s or FB25s or something weird.
Yeah, they're new.
I really like that.
Like still deep, but they're kind of like wider and not as long, which is pretty cool. One of these days, I want to go see like Justin's facility and just like have something to look at as like, man, this is something to work towards one day.
Yeah. His facility's amazing. I haven't been down there yet. I'd same thing. I'm only a few hours from him, so I'd probably need to make that more of a priority this year to try to go and take a visit. He's so freaking kind to allow so many people to come down and visit. Man, he does a lot for this hobby. He's a good dude.
Where's he located?
Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at? Remind me.
California.
We're in Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah. Like good old.
Not too far from you, then.
Yeah. No, not too bad. What part of North Carolina are you from?
Charlotte.
Oh, okay. About 5 hours.
No, that's not too bad.
No.
Yeah, I think Justin's maybe like three hours or so for me. I know he's in North Georgia, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because my grandmother lived in Rocky Mount.
Okay. Yeah.
Right
I know
over-
roughly where. I think that's a couple hours from me, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
right over the Virginia border. So it's not too bad.
No. But yeah, so I'm still doing the ball python breeding. I haven't bred any retics yet. You know, I'm still raising my stuff up. That's the kind of downside of the retic stuff is, you know, the females will take 5 years, you know, to reach breeding age. Yeah. And so because with them it's not a size thing. I mean, it is, you know, still you know you want to hit a certain size and, you know, body composition, but it's really just, you know, it's mostly an age thing. You know, you might get away with breeding them at 4 depending on the locality. Like that girl, she's 3. She probably could go this year. Like she, you know, if I really ramped her up on food and I had a male for her, that was the other thing. I was actually pairing them when the male got sick. So sucks, really sucks. But then, you know, they didn't lock or any. There was never any actual breeding activity. But I was you know working my way towards that direction. But yeah, she just turned 3 in February. But she'll probably go for me next year when that Tombolongan male is up to size and good to go.
So, like, is it more like of a sexual maturity type thing? Like, they just don't reach it until that age, like with ball pythons, it's like 3 years old for a female.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing, you know, ball pythons, like you might be able to get away with breeding a female at 2, but the odds of you having a good clutch is not that great. You know, and then the other part of that is, I think Billy was talking about this the other day, that was that he's done it before. And he said it seemed that, and maybe it was Barchek, either way, it doesn't matter. One of those guys was saying how, they found that females, when they bred them too young, he's like, it almost kind of seems to stunt their development because it's like, he's like, you get really small clutches, and then he's like, they never will give you a big clutch after that. Like they're never consistent breeders. They don't breed as well, and things like that. So, I think just patience is key, and the reality is 3 years really isn't all that long.
It's still frustrating to have to sit there and wait all that time, but it makes
he doesn't know what patience is.
No, I'm not a very.
No, I'm an insanely impatient person, literally in every aspect of my life, in everything that I do, and so I can completely understand that sentiment, but it's worth it in the end, you know, to see your and just knowing that you're doing it the right way, you know, that you're not rushing that female along, and then like we were just talking about, you know, just doing what's best for the health of the animal and for your success long term.
I'm definitely not one for like power feeding and feeding them too big of size prey and stuff. I'm not too big on that. I know there's people that do it, which
sure,
you know, that's all on you, but that's not.
Yeah. Well, and like Billy was talking about, you know, he's even starting to switch a lot of his animals to feed them smaller meals, you know, like maybe smaller rats now instead of mediums, and just, you know, feeding them maybe more often, like every 5 days instead of every week, or you know, and I know a lot of breeders that have a great deal of success doing that, and I'm going to probably start kind of doing the same thing, because, you know, medium is just it's a huge meal, and so I think if I can, you know, give them smalls and then just have them eat more consistently, well, then that's much more of a win than feeding them mediums and they only eat every 2 weeks. It's like, well, then you didn't really actually gain anything by giving them that big meat.
No, like I feed when they get up to a weaned, I feed every 7 days. But like if they're on pups, you know, a hatchling and stuff like that,
a couple times a week, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll feed between 4 and 5 days, depending on how, like, I've seen that they.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll see just that baby's ready to eat, you know, after 2 days. Like I just fed those guys their biggest meals they ever had, and like 3 out of the 8 babies that I have right now are 2 days later, like at the front of the tub, just like raring to go. So I'm like, hey, if you're hungry, the food's available. Like you know that's you would eat if you were in the wild. In other words, like if you're acting hungry, if you were in the wild right now, you would be out hunting for food. Right. So why shouldn't I feed you? It's you're clearly naturally ready for it. So.
For them if they're naturally looking for it.
Yeah. Now retics is a whole different deal, because they'll eat no matter what. I mean, you could feed them just about every day, half the time, and I think they would all freaking eat. I know that girl. She just had 2 jumbo rats the other day, and literally the next day was like, hey, front of the glass, like. You got something for me? I'm like, no. Like 10 days, dude. 10 more days and maybe we can talk.
So do I guess retics eat different sizes because they're bigger, but like how much does she weigh? Like, is it like with ball pythons, you kind of do like a percentage of their weight, or?
You just base it on like their body composition. So it's and it's similar to ball pythons, I guess. Like it's just similar to like ball python babies, where you just look kind of at the thickness of their body, and you're like, all right, I'm going to give you something that's slightly bigger than that, just enough to give you a little lump. And like a jumbo rat in her doesn't hardly leave a lump in her belly anymore. She's actually at the point now she probably needs to be getting pigs, small pigs, like 2-pound pigs. I think is like pound and a half to 2-pound pigs is what she'll probably get switched over to within the next year. I don't think that's what I'm going to feed her all the time. Is it? I think his name's Jeff at El Segundo Pythons. They're actually supplying frozen pigs now, which is cool. I've heard great things about the quality. I don't know anybody that's got any complaints. I know some people that will literally like look at their in their local area and find a farm, pig farm, and they'll just work out a deal to buy pigs from them. The thing is, so she's a dwarf, so but she's never going to be she's never going to eat a 50-pound pig, like these huge retics. But she is at the point where a huge rat, like a mammoth rat, is probably what it would take to really put a good lump in her. She'll probably max out around 12 to 13 feet, somewhere around there.
Wow,
that's not bad. That's still pretty.
No, she's super manageable. I punched her. There's this length calculator thing online that you can use, like a little widget, and you basically can use a picture of the snake to measure, and it's just a lot easier than trying to handle her by myself with a tape or a piece of string or anything that. And that thing, it's probably not 100% accurate, but it estimated she was like somewhere around, I think it said like 9 feet, 9.5 feet, something like that. But she's still super manageable for me.
Really?
That sounds like a really long snake, but again, she's not massive around. She's maybe a baseball size around at her biggest part, something like that.
Now, if that was a 9-foot retic at 9 foot, that'd probably be tough to do by yourself.
Her body composition would probably be different, I think. And again, she is young. She's still in that stage where she is more so growing length right now than she is like putting on real body weight, like becoming that heavy bodied snake. And she'll never be a heavy bodied snake. At least from what I see, most of the dwarf and super dwarf stuff stays pretty athletic. And obviously a lot of that is just making sure you're feeding them properly and not, overdoing it with food, like some people tend to do. But yeah, I just want all my animals to be healthy. And like I said, just athletic. Emphasis on athletic.
Oh yeah,
just muscular and healthy.
Especially with the retics, they like to climb.
Yeah, man, she's pretty impressive. She's like I was saying, she's about 9 feet, but she can literally she will curl herself around this hat and will sit just on top of my head.
Really?
So even at 9 feet, I mean, she's she's pretty graceful. Oh, she's amazing. She really, really is. She's a sweetheart of an animal. I've never, knock on wood, never taken a bite from any of my retics at all. She's never struck at me, never shown any aggression. She's just a sweetheart. So they're great. I love them.
Bro, haven't taken a bite yet.
Knock on something. No, yeah, I've taken a couple little nips from babies, but I've never taken a bite from any of my adult ball pythons, and I think that's probably also a lot of just having smaller collections. My snakes get interacted with a lot, and touched and messed with and taken out and things like that. So I think it just keeps them a little bit more just trained, I guess. I don't know.
And that's one thing we're big on. I want to hold them all the time and just sit with them and let them crawl around or whatever. Especially if we have like a baby and we sell it, I want people to not be afraid to take it out because afraid it's going to bite. Like
because it's a jerk. Yeah. And I've got some babies that are a little testier than other ones, that hiss and everything, which is so funny to me because like my big ones don't hiss at all, like ever. I might have one in the rack that she'll kind of breathe a little hard and get hissy with me when I'm taking her out, but I've got some babies that are a little bit pissy, but they're also like my best eaters, so it's it's a trade-off.
True. Yeah. Take the attitude with eating that, that's always the thing. When we got a couple of them, we got them when we first got them, they were real hissy and
standoffish. They did not want to be messed with at all.
Yeah, but they ended up you break them of it, not like just
and they get bigger as
get used to you going in and out and you're set, and I think they get to know you after a little while.
Well, they just get used to a routine of like, oh, this isn't just normal. They're gonna take me out and mess with me or whatever else. Thanks for hanging out, Mary. Appreciate it. But yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think just as they get bigger, they're like just a little more confident. And that's how the retics are, because I've got a little 75% super dwarf down there. If I open her tub right now, she'll probably bite me. Just mostly just a food response, but they can be a little just nervous. They're tiny. They think everything's trying to kill them and eat them. And that's the reality of how their life would be in the wild. But, immediately once she realizes like it's me, she's like, oh, you're not feeding me? Okay, cool. Everything's fine. So they're different.
And that's another thing with retics. You can see, like, you see something different in their eyes when
they're moving
around.
They think.
You don't really know if they're thinking about anything other than I'm scared of everything.
Yeah,
but, like,
they're so freaking cool.
You can like see it in their face and their eyes. Like
you can watch it. You can literally watch them go from one mode to the next. Like that girl, same thing. If I open her tub and she thinks it's the feeding day, like she's like moving real quick at the front and like super alert. And the second she realizes there's no rat, if maybe I touch her with the hook or just even give her a second to think, she literally just like will kind of watch me and sniff the air, realize there's not food, and then she's like, oh, okay, and then just like chills right out. This rack that she used to be in this rack in this top bin, and literally it used to sit right next to my desk right here, and I would literally just open her tub up and just hang out with her just with the tub open. And she could either choose to come out or but 9 times out of 10 she would honestly just kind of sit there and just kind of like look at me and like observe. And you see their eyes move and just again, like it's amazing to have a snake that you can watch just think and calculate and that their brains are working. I really do. I can't say it enough. I love dwarf and super dwarf retics. I think that they're some of the best animals that anybody can keep. It's very rewarding.
I'd like to get one day. Our biggest problem is we don't have space for a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah, and it's expensive. Not just the animal cost, but that the enclosures. I bought those 4-foot cages not that long ago. And it's not like they're overly expensive, but it's way more expensive than what it costs to keep a ball python in, because you're talking about one of these racks might cost you $250. Well, that cage right there, but for one animal, as opposed to 8 or 6 or whatever, might cost you double that, depending on the size. Because she's in a 4-foot cage now, but she really needs to be in a 6-foot. So that's a big purchase I'm gonna have to make within the next few months.
What's the difference with that versus a ball python in a retic or a super dwarf or a dwarf? Why is it are they more of needing space to move around because they're not in a ball like a ball python is?
Yeah. So that's just it. Exactly. They at the end of the day, like I would really prefer, I would love to have that girl in a cage that had 3 feet of height in it. To where she can really, because she's got a little shelf in there and she'll perch on that shelf. She kind of cruises around. They are. I would almost say they're almost more like a tree snake. Like they're a big fat tree snake. Like if you guys ever watched Brian Barczyk's videos with Lucy, now that she's got that huge room size enclosure, that's a 20-foot snake that will climb up a tree and perch in it.
Right.
That's insane. First of all.
Yeah.
But so that's what it comes down to, man. They'll survive in a smaller enclosure. I could keep her in an FB70 right now if I really wanted to. She'd fit in there, but she's just going to sit and be depressed. And I think that's the thing is, again, going back to it, they are animals that think, and they are animals that in the wild would not be stationary. They would be like you're talking about an animal that actively would be hunting in the wild, like hunting, like sniffing the air and tracking something, through wherever they happen to be living, whether that's in a cave or, whatever. I think it's Garrett has talked about it. Like when he was in Indonesia, you see retics in trees, like they're hanging out in trees looking for birds and stuff to eat. They're animals that do need more exercise and things like that. So to keep them in too small of an enclosure, I think is definitely just a detriment, I think, to kind of their mental health and physical too, because they don't have that opportunity to kind of stretch and move and use their muscles. Garrett has a theory that creates a lot of the issues that people have with breeding super dwarves and dwarves. Is that sometimes it's because they have a lack of muscle tone. So when they're trying to to get those eggs out, and then they literally don't even have the muscle tone to really push and things like that. So I don't know if you guys have seen that video I did from Blake Stewart's house. Blake has an entire room, you know, not that everybody has the ability to do that.
And
but he's got like
Blake Stewart before.
Sorry, go ahead.
We talked to Blake Stewart before, and but I did see that your video on his that room has for, and I think when we talked to him back in the summertime when we first got into ball pythons, he was just finishing it.
Yeah.
But that's an awesome room. That'd be so cool to see and just watch the snakes climb around in there.
It's an experience, man. And Blake's a great guy. He literally he takes his snakes outside every day, every single day. Like when he's done with work for the day, he'll go, and he might not take all of them individually out, but he'll go grab like 2 retics and just take them outside, let them cruise through in his grass, as long as the weather's good, because he's right there in West Virginia. And but otherwise, he'll swap 2 snakes into that room every single night. So his animals, I think, are living their absolute best lives. I mean, it's
right.
It was really fun, you know, because he was kind enough to let me stay at his house when I went to visit Garrett, because they don't live far from each other. And literally, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and Blake and I are just standing in that snake room, you know, just watching the retics cruise around and do their thing and interact and just we're just chatting. But just, you know, yeah, it's just you get to observe behavior that I don't think you would ever see otherwise. You know, like seeing a retic that's that size climb a rope for the first time, that was amazing to me. I mean, it's just absolutely, and it blew my mind just to watch the way that they move and do that. And I'm like, man, you know, like my snakes may never get to do that, you know, which I'm going to try to, I've talked about it. I'm going to try to set something up in this room once I get hardwoods in here, to where I've got some stuff that I can maybe attach to the ceiling, and things like that, to where, you know, I can give my snakes that opportunity to come out and just do stuff, you know, just watch them move. And
that'd be awesome.
That's gotta be pretty cool.
I think that'd be really good for enrichment. So yeah, I'm excited to be able to do that hopefully in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how many like snakes total do you have?
I think right now I want to say it's like 25, 26.
And that's both
ball pythons and retics. Yeah. So I've got, let's see, I've got four retics, between dwarves and super dwarves, and then all the rest are ball pythons.
Wow.
So I've got 2 that are sold that I just need to ship out. Shout out to Mindy and Tom if you guys are watching or listening. Yeah, they bought the 2 animals that I decided to release from my clutch. And then I've got 1 that is going out, but again, that was a trade, so that will come right back to me. So
pretty cool
for now. And then I've got, you know, babies that should be on the way before too long. I've got, you know,
that 1 that, you know, should pop soon.
Yeah, man,
that's gonna be a cool clutch.
Yeah,
it's amazing, and you know, I've been really humbled, and it's been kind of eye opening. Like I made a post about that girl the other day when she ovulated, and like Marshall Mendez, who again, like it, you know, he's huge into green trees and he breeds Amazon tree boas, and his only project that he works with in ball pythons, as far as I'm aware, is ultra milk clowns. And so literally he commented saying that he might be interested in a male from that clutch. I'm just like, man, that's mind blowing. Like this is a guy that, you know, I really kind of like put on a little bit of a pedestal. He's just an impressive guy. You know, he does a lot of things, and he's really successful in the hobby. And so having somebody like that interested in something that I produce, like that's you know, that's the best. It's a really,
that's gotta feel awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I can't wait to see her on eggs. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'll be excited. I'll probably have a tear come out of my eye when I see that clutch. And it's just
man.
It's the first one. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I've literally I found my first clutch of eggs live on Brian Cusco's Zoom call.
Yeah, I watched
who was that with? I'm trying to remember. It might have been with Justin. I don't remember.
I watched the video, but I don't remember. Like, I don't think you like said who was there.
Yeah, I don't remember who that Zoom call was. I mean, obviously, you know, everybody in his Patreon group was there, which is awesome because those are some of my best friends in the hobby, or you know, all the people from there. So it was really, really exciting to be able to share that moment with them. But I wish I could remember who the guest was, because it was you know, significant. Not that one person is better than the other. You know what I mean? If it was Justin, I feel like I would remember that, because I probably would have been like, hey, yeah, by the way, this was from your mail. Like, you know, you know.
Right.
which is also cool. Like, I think that's really neat to think about, you know, like the bloodlines of where my animals came from. And like, I see him hatching babies and I'm like, man, I wonder if that's like a grandbaby of my male that I have, you know, because he's got a ton of Mojave Ultramel stuff that, you know, a lot of it came from that guy, from that boy. So it's exciting.
I have a few people who like eventually I would like to say, yeah, I have one of their snakes in my collection.
Yeah.
Like Justin and Miguel and Billy and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think we all kind of do that a little bit. You know, I sometimes almost focus more on that even than like if it's the right animal. I'm just, you know, I'm like, yeah, I just really like I would, you know, like you said, I bought a few animals from Justin, which is awesome. He's a great guy to deal with, and I love supporting him. You know, wherever I can. Not that he needs my, you know, measly a couple $100 here and there, but it's fun, you know, to know again just where your stuff comes from. But yeah, I'd love to get a snake from Shane at Small Town, you know, and Miguel and all those guys. So yeah,
we love Shane.
Yeah, we have one from Shane.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, if Shane was working in the same projects I'm working in, I definitely would, you know, would get something.
Yeah, he likes his G-stripe clowns
and Batman's.
Well,
yeah, Batman's. He's big. Yeah.
Yeah, he did make it.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was funny. It took me this long to get a clown. It just wasn't the direction I was headed. You know.
Yeah, that's like eventually I'd like to get into that direction, but like we don't have space again for a bunch of projects that you know that I can't afford to get into right now. But my thing,
I can barely afford the Ultramel stuff.
Right. Somewhere along the way, I will make something somebody wants, whether it's somebody or Morph Market or somebody on Instagram who's just getting into the hobby and likes something that we make. Like, I don't need to make something like these big breeders are going to buy, because I know I'm not going to do that.
Not right now.
Not right now, at least. But
no, and that's why I was saying, you know, it depends on. I guess kind of I wouldn't even say like your business model, but kind of your business model. You know, it just depends on who your goal customer is at the end of the day. You know, do you want to sell, you know, pets to people, which is great. I think, and I would love to do that. I think that would almost be even more fun. You know, because so far obviously I've sold stuff just to breeders, but that's still really cool, and it's exciting to see. You know, I've sold some stuff to Mindy and Tom, and now they're like really heavy into the Ultramel project. And I'm like, man, that's so cool to think that, like, you know, something that I, you know, am passionate about, like now these people are also into, you know, and building towards it. It's kind of cool.
And like another thing, like I'm trying to do, I work for the school system here in the county we live in, and I'm trying to talk my principal that I work for the school I work for to let me do like little educational
like,
things with kids.
That would be awesome.
Try and get them involved in it, and I think that'll be pretty cool if he'll let us do that. But with COVID,
yeah, that would be great, man. Because I tell people that was me when I was a kid. My third grade teacher, I wish I could remember her name. She had a ball python in our classroom.
Really?
Yeah, and like I think it was like Wednesdays, like you could get permission from your parents to stay late after school and watch her feed it.
Oh wow!
You know, and so yeah, that was awesome. And then like I remember, it was probably second grade. We had a guy, he was called Okefenokee Joe, but he came by and did a reptile thing in our gym. And like it's crazy to think back now. He had a rattlesnake that he brought with him, you know, to this presentation, which is like the most Georgia thing I think I've ever heard of in my life. But yeah, so that was really, really cool. I think he had like, you know, some berms and things like that too, which, you know, obviously
I remember we used to have those kinds of things too, and they'd have like Banana Boy, and it was huge Burmese python.
Right. That's pretty cool.
And they'd like let you come hold it, and it would take like 20 people to hold it. It was fun.
Yeah.
So like
that stuff's super important.
Do that. To be able
that stuff's super important.
Yeah.
You know, Cusco made that video the other day, you know, talking about how you know, guys, this is way more important than USARK. And that's what he was talking about. You know, it was just inspiring this next generation of kids, because like he was saying, you know, these kids are going to grow up to be politicians and lawyers and things like that. And, you know, so it's advantageous from that standpoint, but also again, just, you know, to educate people. You know, people can't love something that they've never interacted with, you know, and you know, giving them those experiences to have, to base their knowledge on or base their opinion of snakes on.
Mm-hmm.
If it's much better for them to base their opinion of snakes on being educated about them and having an opportunity to hold one than it is to let, you know, the mainstream media educate them about snakes, you know, or their mom and dad at home, that the dad thinks like, the only good snake's a dead snake. The kid can then have this experience that tells them otherwise. Like, well, yeah, but you know, there was this Burmese python and I got to hold it and it was fine and it didn't try to bite anyone, you know, and it was great and cool. That's some of the most important stuff that any of us can be doing for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Big thing, big time. And then, like, just that's the major thing, is educating people of how they really aren't bad. Like, so many people, like, we run into people all the time, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you have snakes. Like, they're so creepy and gross. And I'm like, well, like, have you ever seen one? Like, have you ever really held one? Like, do you even know anything about them? And their first answer is no, not really.
Yeah. And that's like Kim, one of my really good friends. She's like,
I think we gotta send a search party. We lost our guest. Somebody call 411.
oh. You okay, India?
411. I need the number to 911.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't. Normally, I can walk outside with these on, and because I could hear you guys, but I guess maybe the signal wasn't good enough. I got too far away.
So he just sat there hurting us, talking shit the whole time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, no, I just
No,
needed to grab a beer.
You're right.
You. No, but like I was about to say, one of my really good friends is like deathly terrified of snakes, like to the point where she couldn't even look at one. And now, like, I've gotten her to the point where like she is interested, like she'll watch our videos, and like she's to the point now where she's once like the COVID stuff is done, because I haven't seen her in a while. I used to work with her, but now I'm not. But whatever. Once the COVID stuff is done, she wants to like maybe hold one. So like I just think
awesome.
that's so
no,
awesome.
that's huge. Yeah. That's huge. I think that was one of the best compliments I ever got to was, you know, I have a lot of friends like service industry and stuff like that, you know, that had never even heard me talk about having snakes. They'd known me for a couple of years for, you know, through bartending and all that. And had no idea that I kept this many animals until I started posting about them. Because, you know, I only started posting about my animals basically since COVID. And I think a lot of people are that way, where, you know, we all kind of started finally doing things with this stuff. But yeah, when I started posting about it, a lot of the responses were like, people freaked out, you know, like, man, I just, you know, like, Zach, I love you, but I had to like unfollow you on Facebook because like your posts literally like it scares the shit out of me, you know. But then there was also people that came back and said like, Zach, you're actually starting to make me think these things are cute, you know, like I actually kind of like them a little bit now, or like I watched your videos and like it kind of made me, you know, a little bit less afraid, because they're just like, yeah, I just see the way you interact with them. It's like, oh, this thing's not some evil monster that just wants to kill you, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, so if I can have that impact on somebody just through pictures and video, yeah, I mean, you know, putting a snake in somebody's hands, that's amazing. That's awesome.
So, and that's like the main goal, I think, is just to really get people to realize what they truly are, and, you know. And that's the whole thing. Like YouTube with us is just fun. It's supposed to be just something fun. Like I take it serious. Sometimes I take it too serious. But
yeah. No, that's understandable. I mean, we all have goals that we're trying to reach, right? And things that we want to do. I think it is, you know, it's important, especially with the YouTube stuff also, like not to get frustrated if you're starting it out and you're not like, oh, immediately like some big channel. I don't care if nobody watches my videos that I post. Mm-hmm. I post a lot of my stuff really for my own benefit for later, because I'm thinking to myself, in 10 years, wherever I'm at in this hobby, because I'll still be doing this and I hope to be, you know, at a much bigger scale than what I'm at right now. I think I'm going to look back at those things and laugh. I already do. You know, I look back at that first video I posted and I'm like got this big COVID beard and, you know, the lighting was terrible because I didn't have any kind of a light or anything like that I could use. And this room's kind of dark. And, you know, I was working with, you know, the cheaper lens for my camera and all that stuff. But I laugh and it's so funny. So I love watching all Kabilka's old videos. Have you guys ever checked any of those out? Like his stuff from the early days?
No, I saw him when he did that one video And like when he was like 15, like he went back and like rewatched it again, and it was like he was like,
or he's like sitting in his dorm room, I think.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, I love watching that, man. That's and there's I would encourage anybody that's listening to this that hasn't watched a lot of his old stuff, go check that stuff out, because it's like that's the history, first of all, like how we all got to where we're at.
Yeah.
But also there's just so many little just gems of information that is stuff that he might have said that at the time didn't even sound important to him, just stuff that, but there's just little things you can catch that are helpful. There's a lot of really good stuff, and it's inspirational too, because again, it's like, man, look at where he started and look at where he's at now. And so that's
a lot of those are his ball pythons 101 videos. Like really just getting into the nitty-gritty of them. Yeah, trying to break them down. And
I mean, he explains base genes and stuff in some of his old stuff. And also another thing is he had a blog. He still does. That's really cool. And I've gone back and read a lot of his old posts, because it's all still, hosted on his website. There's a ton of great information in there, where he was talking about, like, I even found where he was talking about his different lines of Ultramel that he was working with. Like, that was, and that post I think was from like 2011 or something like that. So that was really cool to me, because he was talking about breeding a Mojave Ultramel. And I'm like, man, like that's, literally I own a snake that's like from that same bloodline. And here he is, this post talking about when he was pairing them, and that he proved out that this line doesn't, that these lines are compatible, because there was people that thought maybe the two Ultramel lines were actually different. And he proved out that they weren't, and that they were compatible and blah, blah. Like I get a kick out of stuff like that. And I think that stuff's really, really neat information to have. And so again, that's the basis of my channel, if nothing else. If I never posted another video, it's there, it's documented, and people can just can see where I got my start. So I think that's the importance.
I mean, like, what do we have? 330 subscribers is what I saw this afternoon, and I'm like, hey, look, that's
331. Yeah.
Yay!
And I'm like, well, that's 331 more people that didn't know us, and now they know us, and like, maybe they'll get something out of it. As long as somebody gets one thing out of a video, like I think it's cool.
I can't be.
Yeah, and on top of that, again, that stuff is there for for all time, unless something happens with YouTube and it goes away at some point, which I kind of doubt. But and then the other thing is, like, there's people that aren't subscribed to you that see your stuff. Especially if you're consistent with posting and stuff. I had finally just reached that point with that last video where people that don't know, like, the algorithm was starting to pick me up, and I was starting to pop up in promotions and stuff like that on, for other people's stuff, which is just cool. It's really neat to see people that you don't even know that you've never talked to and never met, like, comment on a video. Like, I had a guy was asking me questions the other day about radiant heat panels because he saw my video that I did on it.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that's the fun part about this,
Oh yeah. And what was I was just about to say something. I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, my daughter, she's 11, and like, but it's funny though, like, she'll go back and like, I'll be looking at one of our old videos. She's like, oh my God, Dad, you're so cringe. Like, I can't believe like your videos are horrible and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, you say
that's just your opinion.
But she does, like, she's told her teacher about the channel, and she's like, my teacher checked out y'all's channel, and I'm like, why did you do that?
Right. But that's one thing we don't do on our channel. Like, we won't cuss on our channel because I know kids will watch it and might watch it, and I want my kids to be able to watch it and stuff. So yeah,
I try to do what I can there. I'm not always perfect, but
no,
I think I've believed some videos that I did before.
Yeah,
it happens.
There's been a couple in ours that, I mean, we're all human.
Yeah, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's all good. Are you guys? What other platforms are you guys using? I'm just kind of curious. Like, are you guys doing anything on TikTok or whatever?
Just Instagram. And
I just made a TikTok account because our daughter. Well, she's my stepdaughter, but she might as well be my daughter.
Yeah.
I consider her my own. She made me make a TikTok, so I might start like using it for the reptiles, because I I've posted like 3 things
Yeah.
on it, and I have
Yeah.
her as
I'm
well.
not dancing on camera or anything like that. Yeah.
So yeah, I might start using that for the reptiles.
I hear a lot of people get a lot of views off of reptile videos.
It's super important, I think. And I have not posted in a while on there, but I think I'm going to start putting some more energy into that platform. I think there's in terms of just platforms where you can really get some growth still. I think that's the best one currently. I think it's the easiest one to get some growth on. I got frustrated with it a little bit just because I couldn't really figure out the direction that I wanted to take it. I'm like, I don't really even know what I'm supposed to be posting. It's just this creative process of just how to frame stuff out. And again, I'm very impatient. So if things, if I've got an image in my head and the video doesn't come out exactly that way, I'm like, I have to scrap this whole thing. I'm not going to bother. But I mean, I have one video I posted showing how I break down my my Repti chip.
Mm-hmm.
And I think last I looked, it had like 84,000 views or something like that, which is like, it's not, the reality is it's like, in terms of TikTok, that's not that many, but that's a lot more than anything else I would have posted.
Just for breaking down Coco Block, though.
Yeah, for just, and that's having 0 followers. I had, I think I have like, I don't know, 100 followers or something like that on there. I mean, so to have 80,000 views, I was like, man, that's really cool. And it was a 15-second clip that I almost didn't post. So
that's crazy.
Never know.
I wonder if like you can do how to get the TikTok to transfer over to like YouTube to get those people to know you have YouTube.
Yeah. So on TikTok, there's a way to do it. Like I think you can, I don't remember if you can put Linktree in there, but you can definitely link it directly to your Instagram. So there's that, but it is tough because I've heard some creators on there that have had that complaint, and not complaint, but complaint. Like they're like, how do I have? There's a guy on there that's got like, I've got like 3 million followers on TikTok. He's like, none of you guys are following me on YouTube. First of all, I don't think that's a problem. I think the reality is that if you've got access to 3 million people that can see your stuff, like,
who cares where it's at?
It doesn't matter where it is. Yeah. And that they're not doing both. Because I think that's where the disconnect is for a lot of people. So they don't understand different platforms are successful for different reasons. And the stuff that works on one platform doesn't work on the next. And to me, YouTube and TikTok are literally like opposites. Yeah, sure. They're both video platforms, but it's totally different. You're talking about something where it's 15-second clips versus 30-minute videos or 16-minute videos. Think about the amount of time that's spent to watch that, and especially in the younger generation. And I'm myself right in with this. We're impatient again, like we talked about, and we don't have the attention to dedicate to something that's 15 minutes long. And I would hate to start a video that I know I'm not going to finish. Or if there might be parts of those videos that are uninteresting or boring, or whatever, and that's like, I'm sure there's parts of mine that are boring. So yeah, it's just different. I'm just curious.
My big thing is like with our YouTube videos, we can do like an 8 or 9 minute video, 10-minute video, and you get people watching 4 or 5 minutes of it, 3 minutes of it, and it's like, man, you guys aren't even watching like the main part of the video. It's hard to get people to that retention, to keep people.
Yeah. Well, it's a commitment, man. Because again, if you're watching on your phone's tied up while you're doing that, and so it's like, unless you're literally just sitting around with nothing to do, sometimes that's tough. And that's why I say, like, it's rare for me to even start watching a YouTube video if I know, like, I will literally look at the timestamp and I'm like, okay, do I have 15 minutes to dedicate to this right now? If the answer is no, I'm not going to watch it at all. And so that's my point. That's what I'm getting at. TikTok is easy because I'm like, oh, I can watch this really quick. It's going to be a minute or less. And I have a minute right now, so I can watch this person's content. It's easy for me to keep up with. And then on the flip side, if I do have an hour of my day to just waste watching content, which sometimes I do, I'll go through and watch. In an hour, how many TikTok clips can you watch?
Right. At
15 seconds a pop. And so you can consume a lot of things. And I think it's also cool from a creative standpoint because you have to find ways to chop the information down into these bite-sized pieces. Because people are willing to watch 5 minutes of content, 15 seconds at a time, but they might not watch a 5-minute YouTube video. It's really weird. I love the psychology of that, and I wish I could kind of really understand it and wrap my head around that, because you're still spending the same amount of time, but there's just something about, like I said, it's that ADD, that attention,
it's something
that we're not. It's really, really neat. So I'm really, I think that there's still a ton of opportunity on that platform, and yeah, I would definitely recommend you guys to try to do some stuff there. I'm going to work on, like I said, doing that a lot better myself.
I guess you can, on your TikTok, you can do, I don't know if there's time to like how long the videos have to be, or like if you can just show a snake and like explain
15 seconds to a minute.
15 seconds to a minute. So you can take a snake out, show it real quick, or show how you feed one real fast, or
yeah, and you can find creative ways to chop it out. Like
right,
you can literally take like the first 2 seconds be one thing and have it like boom 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 boom.
Gotcha.
And edit it that way. And you can film it on your phone and then edit it through your editing software. I don't know what you guys use, or you can edit it directly on TikTok. It's because there's what a lot of people are doing now. It's easier, I guess, if you film in 4K. I haven't tried to mess with it in 1080, but they'll take their actual footage that they use on YouTube and they'll cut clips out of that and they'll repost it. So recycle the same content. So you didn't even spend any more time editing, like making another video just for TikTok. You just took a 15-second clip out of something that had something funny or important or whatever, and you can just post that. Now the thing is that platform likes the vertical film, so there's a way you can crop that footage. If it's in 4K, it's easy to crop out that vertical section of the video, and you can recycle it to TikTok. So yeah, it's I don't know. There's yeah, I'm debating on doing that with some of my stuff, going back and taking some of my videos and chopping them up.
Not?
And that's like
seeing what I can do.
Yeah, that's like a bunch. We have a couple shorts.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy, that's really cool, man. We really appreciate it.
You're so nice.
We have some shorts that we filmed that with just our freaking bearded dragon sitting in his tank, and it has 30,000 views.
Yes.
Or I did one.
Yeah, that's on YouTube. Yeah.
I did one with him sitting on the arm of the couch, and he's bobbing his head around and looking, and like I just said, angry bearded dragon, and I was doing voices for him.
Yeah,
and,
but dude, so you could do an entire series like that. There is a dog on TikTok that has like millions of followers. His name's Tatum, and that's what they do. Literally his owner does voiceovers. Their dog's just kind of goofy and does funny shit as dogs do, and they get millions and millions and millions of views of just this dog that's Tatum. And people know that freaking dog. There's a dude on there that does that, like literally will sit and like let his niece try like olives, and they'll try olives together, and that's the whole video. It's 15 seconds long. But because of the way that he consistently posts content, first of all, so he's always constantly posting stuff, and it's all just these funny little moments, and people love stuff like that. That stuff works. Does it insanely well. I would absolutely encourage you, because if you have that bearded dragon footage, you can take that, post it straight to TikTok tomorrow, and I promise you it will do well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If you got that many views on YouTube, I think you would be amazed at how many views you're going to get on TikTok, because the natural growth that is available on TikTok right now is mind-boggling. Again, 80,000 views on a video of me breaking down Repti chips set to music.
Right.
It's stupid. It's stupid.
Crazy.
I don't know why anybody was watching. The best I can think is it was like an ASMR thing, because you can hear like the water rushing, and it does look kind of cool. Like I like the video. I think it's a neat little clip, but I just didn't think it was worth watching 84,000 times, especially if you know, because half the people that watched it probably don't even know what the hell Repti chip is or what it's for.
Right.
But the sound was kind of neat, and it was a popular song that had just recently come out at the time. So it's like, I don't know. There's something there. So yeah, I would encourage you, man, if that's something that you are doing a lot of, and you can just get random little clips of your bearded dragon, and then like I've got ideas for days of stuff you could do with that, just silly stuff. You can because on TikTok, like, you can go and find like, okay, there it will literally tell you. They make it easy. They make it so easy. It tells you, hey, this is the trending clips. Right. So because there will be different challenges that people will do, and there will literally be like 1,000 people that do this same challenge, or a million fucking people that do this same thing. But you can take it and do your twist on it with that bearded dragon. You could set up scenes and stuff like that to adhere to whatever the popular trend is, or the popular sound. So you could absolutely, man, you guys could have a tremendous amount of success there. And I don't know of anybody that's doing it with the bearded dragon. So
that'd be pretty cool.
I did the fish your pet trend with bearded dragon.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think I got very many.
Well, we should probably do one, like make one just for being a reptile, so
yeah,
like and do it that way.
Or both. It doesn't matter. I mean, yeah. Absolutely. I think that you guys will have some success there. Keep me posted about it, because I really would be curious to hear how well it does. If I had a lizard, I would totally do it. All I got is snakes right now.
Man, I don't know how we got. My stepson had a bearded dragon. His dad was like, "Man, we don't want it anymore. Will you take it?" And I felt bad, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
They're a lot of work, man.
Now I like it.
Yeah, he's cool as hell.
Oh, I loved mine that I had. They're just a lot of work, in terms of like prepping vegetables for them to eat and all that stuff. It was just it was just a lot to do, because at the time, I was working 2 jobs, working 7 days a week. So, I just felt guilty, not that he wasn't getting the amount of interaction that he probably should have. He kind of started getting a little bit of a bad attitude just because I wasn't taking him out every single day. So he just wasn't used to being handled. And so just wasn't the right time for me to have him. But I'll have another one eventually one day. I love bearded dragons. I think they're great. He was beautiful. He was hypo, but he was like, I don't remember what they call it. He was yellow with like blue stripes on his back, and he was gorgeous. I got him from a really, really high end breeder. It's located here in North Carolina. He was gorgeous, but yeah, they're pretty cool.
I don't know what this dude is, but he's pretty cool. He's just a chubby little dude.
Yeah, he's got like orange around his eyes.
I think he's just a normal.
And he's like a lighter color.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think they called him like I don't know, it was like a hypo tiger or something, but he was. Yeah. Oh, he was, man, he was beautiful. He wasn't, because they've got some now that are just crazy. Like I really love the Zeros and the Weeros and all those crazy morphs.
Yeah. They're wild.
I want to get a monitor though, like a little dwarf monitor, like a little mangrove or a savanna monitor or something.
Or like an Aki.
Cool. Yeah.
I really like Akis. I've debated on getting one of those. Same thing. It's just I know my life right now is not, it's not the right time for me to be able to have something like that I can dedicate, the energy to.
Yeah, that's like our problem. Like she gets up and leaves at like 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, and gets home at like 5 in the evening. I leave at 1 in the afternoon and work till 9 at night.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's not a lot of time to dedicate to train and work with and get something like that to really get to know you and be comfortable with you, to where like you can hold it or to interact with it comfortably.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. But I heard in one of your videos, did you say you were a mechanic or used to be a mechanic?
Man, I've had many jobs. I actually kind of want to, I was going to start a podcast, and I wanted to call it Master of None. And just kind of have that be the theme. But yeah, I was a mechanic for probably like, I don't know, like 6 years or so, kind of off and on. It was like I was self-taught. Like my first job I was at 8 when I turned 18. I had to wait till I was 18 because the shop's insurance wouldn't cover me. But I was like basically a helper. I was like, go for a parts runner, oil changes, tires, like just like basic stuff at a shop when I was 18. And kind of like was taken under the wing of my dad's like best friend at the time, still his best friend today, Jason. And he kind of taught me just, a ton of stuff. But yeah, so that's I've always been into cars for as long as I can remember. Cars, motorcycles, anything with an engine. And I don't really even know where that came from. Like I was obsessed with Harley Davidson when I was a kid. I had Harley everything. I'm more into sport bikes now. But yeah, I was a mechanic for a while.
Yeah, I did it. I did it for 16 years.
Okay. Yeah. See, I was never like a full-blown technician, but like I did stuff on I've done engine swaps, I've got I actually still drive a Nissan 240SX. I've had probably 10 of those cars, I think, over the years. My first car was a 240SX, and I've had, again, like 10 of them over the years, and I still have one now, but I had one that I swapped a Skyline engine into, and
oh wow,
Skyline diff, and I had the whole drivetrain out of a Skyline and a little S13 240 back in the day. And I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. Had RX-7s. I really like import cars and import motorcycles.
I wasn't much into imports. I guess that's because of my dad. He was all into classic cars, but I did a lot of drag racing up and down the East Coast.
Okay. Oh, very cool.
Yeah, we had a dragster and everything. Yeah, the whole nine.
Yeah, that's another thing I'd really like to get back to. Eventually when the finances are there for me to dedicate to. I always try to, anything that I'm involved in, I try to do it the best way that I can. So yeah, it's just not something that's in the cards for me right now. But I definitely do want to get back to that. And yeah, that's my plan with that car that's out there. Is I
would love to get back into it. It's just expensive. Plus, you know, we got this hobby we're in, and we're trying to buy a house. So maybe one day the cards will align, and I'll get back into it. But
sure.
I mean, I won't.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, I had a lot of fun doing it. Made a lot of money. Wasted a lot of money. But met a lot of really cool people.
Yeah, but you guys should talk to Daniel Allison. That's what he used to do. He was real big into drag racing, and
really?
I think he worked for a team. I could be mistaken about that.
That name really sounds familiar, though.
Constriction addiction.
Yeah.
He's a pretty big name, big name in the hobby. He's been around for a long time, and he lives like 30 minutes from me. I really need to reach out and try to link up with him to do some stuff.
Oh yeah, you should. And another, like, I was talking to Brian Cusco a while ago and asking him pointers of how to get our channel flowing and get views up or subscribers up. And he was like, "Oh man, you just gotta try to meet people in your area and see if they'll let you come to their house and film their collections with them."
Yes.
So Sunday and Wednesday we posted videos. We did one from Brian from Bana My Exotics.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a really cool guy, man, and that was a good video, a lot of fun, and just like meeting people like that and like them letting you do that is really cool. So hopefully I can find some more people around here. Me and Hannah can find meet.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, man. Like anybody that's within a few hours drive of you, it's worth making the trip. I mean, hell, like obviously this was more than a few hour drive, but again, I've got a pretty good relationship with Garrett. I consider him a friend at this point, more so than like a customer to business relationship. He and I are more so friends, which is great. And it's an honor to count him amongst my friends. He's a great guy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing, getting Noah to go and hang out in his facility and do some videos. And man, I was so nervous. Like I think I've only got one video of footage from his place, because like the footage I got was just none of it was really like just like well thought through. I didn't even have ideas about what I wanted to do when I got there. So it was, I kind of like dropped the ball on that in terms of that preparation. But
I've done that a lot. But like I'd love to be able to meet people like him or eventually meet Brian Cusco and just like other people like that aren't real big, huge breeders, but have a lot of impact in the community.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing I tell people about this, that I love, that this hobby, the guys like Kabilka, guys like Miguel, they're all accessible. Like we can literally reach out and message these people at any time, and most of those guys will get back to you, and the ones that don't, like whatever it is. But I haven't had that experience yet. Anybody in this hobby so far that I've really wanted to talk to, or made an effort to talk to, I've been able to, which has been really great, man. Like even guys like Brian Barczyk. I mean, Barczyk will message me back on Instagram. Not that we're buddies, but I'll send him stuff or whatever periodically, and he's like, "Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate the support." Blah blah blah. Like even just something as simple as that is really cool. Yeah. Everybody's accessible, man, and everybody's always willing to help you out. I've found.
I tried reaching out to him a few times. I sent him the same message a couple times, just trying to get him to look at it on Instagram. And he won't look at it.
Well, I'll tell you.
I want to go up to the Reptarium, and I was trying to say, "Look, man, I'd like to film something with you, just quick, not long, but I'd like to see the Reptarium. I'll even do it like a night you're open if you don't have to make any special privileges."
I'm not asking for any specifics. Yeah,
right. I don't want nothing special. I just want to know if I can film something with you for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
just to say that I did it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll tell you. The thing is, because he the only reason I think that he has gotten back to me on Instagram is because I've only recently contacted him on there. The best way that I found, and this sounds silly, but to me it's worth it, is jump on one of his checking in podcasts. Like he did one today. I think on Saturdays he does the Snake Talk, which is usually just him and Jay. Dude, spend $2 on a super chat. Say, hey, I'm coming up. We're gonna plan a trip to the Reptarium. I'd like to meet you on there. What's the best way to reach you? What I would say he will probably tell you is most likely through email, and make sure that you put attention Brian Barczyk. That's one option, or again, even just in the super chat, just ask him, like what
I'm trying to do.
Yeah, just tell him what you're trying to do, and I'm sure he'd be more than willing to make that happen for you guys. Like from what I understand, I think Sunday nights he said is usually the best time to catch him there.
Yeah.
because he's pretty much always around on Sundays, and he doesn't have a podcast to do. Like if you went on a Saturday, you're probably not going to see him.
Because he'll be downstairs the whole time.
But what I was going to say is I think the only reason he got back to me on Instagram was I heard him talking about it lately. He's spending more time on Instagram right now. He didn't used to actually spend much time on the app itself. So
yeah, I've noticed that quite a bit.
So you could try to reach out to him again there, but like I said, I think just spending a couple bucks for a super chat.
Yeah.
It's just easier because for a fact it's going to go straight to him and he'll answer you live directly. So.
There, what he'll think of the situation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any more questions? No. She's had a couple of beverages.
That's all right. Me too. All good.
Sorry, I don't drink or do anything anymore. I've been clean and sober for almost 3 years now. So.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I did dry January, and I think I ended it around like, I don't know, somewhere halfway through the month, like 16th or 17th of February. So I went like 47 days or something like that. Yeah, I'll probably do that again sometime soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I went 10 years off the chain, so I was off the hook for 10 years. So.
Oh yeah, trust me, I get it. And again, I bartended prior to doing the job that I do now, which I might get away from soon and get back into bartending. But yes, that lifestyle is it can be a rough one.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, you get off work and it's hard not to hang out because your regulars are there. These are your friends or people you hang out with every day, and then somebody buys you a drink, and then that turns into somebody else buying you another one. And then next thing you know, you've been there and worked for 10 hours, and you hung out for 4 hours after that. So
yeah, and then you're trying to figure out how the hell you're gonna get home.
Yeah, I mean, there were many a Uber ride, from my work straight back to the house, and just left the car there. So yeah, I get it.
I am drinking a Smirnoff seltzer.
Oh, those are the red, white, and blue ones. Yeah.
It's red, white, and berry.
And horrible.
I think it's good.
So if you like seltzers, I'll tell you this. Shameless plug. The company that I work for, we're the distributor for Founders and a bunch of other beer brands, obviously. But Founders is coming out with some brand new seltzers. It's called Mas Agave. I don't like seltzers. I don't like any of the seltzers I've ever had, but those Founders seltzers are delicious. They are so good. I can't remember all the flavors, but they gave us some samples to try because it's a brand new product that they were launching. And I was super impressed. They were great. And yes, I would encourage you to check those out.
What is it called?
Mas Agave, MASAGAVE, Mas Agave.
Mas Agave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to try that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Some
awesome.
of them I like, and then others I think taste like TV static.
Oh my Lord.
Yes, the way that my buddy Z, my old general manager at the bar, he always said that like Trulies and White Claws that we carried, he's like, they taste like hairspray.
Yeah, that's how I would expect that to taste.
Yeah, they're funky. It tastes unnatural. You know what I mean? Like which I don't like. But the Mas Agave ones, they're great.
Yeah.
Like seltzered water tastes like it does not. It's not supposed to be that way. Like it should not taste like that.
I don't like that. But I don't know. These have kind of grown on me. I'm not sure why.
I'm good with Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Mountain Dew fan. I like that.
Yep.
Dr. Pepper.
Nope.
I mostly drink water. I'm either drinking water or I'm drinking beer, depending on what time of day it is. So.
Yeah, I don't do well with water. We're not good friends. Me and water.
Yeah, I probably drink, I don't know, a gallon a day, roughly, depending on.
I drink a shit ton of water too.
If I drink more than a 20-ounce bottle of water, I feel like I'm drowning.
And then he wonders why he's got all these like issues. He's like, I have a headache all the time. I'm like, well, drink water.
Did you drink water today? Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, Yingling. Jeremy, you would get along well with Garrett. Obviously, Garrett lives up there in Pennsylvania. I'm a big Yingling fan. I like it. Founders, I like a lot of the Founders stuff that's like their higher end stuff. Like their KBS. They have a limited release. They do KBS Maple, and it's hard to explain, but it's a barrel aged that's got like maple syrup with it. They're delicious. But it's like $20 for a 4-pack of those, So it's like it's not a reasonable thing for you to drink all the time.
Right.
But yeah, like I don't care for like they're all like the Founders all day is all right. not a huge fan. So I agree. I don't love a ton of the Founders products, but that's why I was surprised that I liked that Masagave seltzer so much. So
my brother, he's a beer snob. He likes all kinds of crazy beers and dark beers, light beers, certain beers, and like he's in the Air Force and he lives in Florida, so like he's gotten a chance to try a lot of different beers, and he likes some real dark ones. Like I know he likes.
Yeah, he probably likes a lot of the stuff that we sell because that's like 90% of our brands. They're the more like craft. Most of what we have is craft.
Yeah, he likes that stuff.
Craft.
Yeah, like
I like Miller Lite. Bud Light.
That's an imported beer. No, unimported. What do they call that?
It's a domestic.
Domestic. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm drinking the classic PBR.
Oh, there you go.
My grandmother used to drink PBR.
Yeah, Jeremy, $12. Yeah, that's probably like the Founders all day, the all days and stuff like that. Again, just depends on the line. Founders goes anywhere from like you said, $12 to $20, depending on what the product line is.
Oh no.
Right. $12 for a 4-pack. I don't know. I've been drinking a long time, so I don't know what the
$3 a pop.
For what?
Yeah, that could be like the standard KBS. I know is a lot cheaper than like the KBS Maple. Again, that's that maple stuff is a limited release or whatever, but it just depends.
Piss water. What? That used to be my go-to.
Yeah, I don't like Miller Lite. I'm a Coors Light guy if I'm drinking like a light beer. But that's just because we had
drink Coors Light and then Michelob.
I like Bud Light too. Is that okay?
I like Bud Light in a 10-ounce can. Like
Jeremy, no, I'm not from Michigan. It's funny because we carry so many Michigan beers. I actually asked somebody that the other day. I'm like, why and our company's based in North Carolina. We're a small company. So we have no direct connection to Michigan, but for whatever reason, we happen to have a lot of really good relationships with breweries up that way. Because I can't remember all of them. Obviously, like Bell's, we also carry Bell's. Bell's is out of there. So, Bell's Two Hearted just got recently rated again the #1 beer in America in a certain category or whatever. But yeah, so Bell's, we carry all their stuff and they're Michigan. Founders is Michigan. We got a handful of them that are all Michigan. But also we carry a ton of German stuff. We carry some stuff from Thailand. Singha is our brand.
Have like a Thailand beer. Like I wonder how much different they do there.
I liked it. I got a chance to try it not that long because my dad spent some time as a teenager living in Thailand in like near Bangkok with his dad. His dad was in the military, and so I bought my dad a 6-pack of Singha beer because he was telling me, he's like, yeah, that's what I remember that from Thailand. Like that's what we used to drink, and he was telling me it's basically like the Budweiser of Thailand. So I got to try that recently. I didn't care for it that much, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it was just beer.
Right.
It tastes like your typical, full-bodied beer. So.
Ain't nobody talking to you.
Right.
His watch is talking to people.
Right. I sat down, like I scratched my leg, and my watch goes, "Which one? Which one?"
Love it.
Yeah. Well, Zach, I want to say thank you very much for joining us, man. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you guys. I mean, I told y'all when you asked me, man. Anybody that ever wants me to do live streams, I love these. You guys, obviously, I can talk, so I appreciate it.
Yeah,
they're always a lot of fun. It's always a good opportunity for me to have a chance to bounce things off people. Yeah. I love talking to people that are still early on in this stuff, like me, because it's it makes me feel better about where I'm at and where we're all headed.
Me too.
And things like that. So no, it's great. So thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. And,
yeah, man, I do too.
Of course.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all. Everybody have a great night. Thanks for everybody.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Bye.